Hi there, my name is Richard Murphy. Welcome back. I help CEOs, entrepreneurs, and online leaders in dot-coms and online companies to create breakthroughs in their brand transformation and in their business growth. Now, in this video, I want to debunk the myth that if you have an awesome product, you don't need to worry about having an awesome brand. Now, let me just go deep into that one a little bit further. It's common, I see over and over again in online companies, that where they start with a great idea and a great product, they become blinded by the hype that they've got such a game changer, such a great app, such a great idea, that this carries them through, and they think that that is the brand story as well. Now, I call this actually the Silicon Valley syndrome because I think it's a pervasive problem, disease, whatever you want to call it, that I see it in so many companies. Now, if I was to say, watch any of my videos, or to take out one of these myths that I debunk, this is the one. This is the big needle mover, because for me, this is the game changer for your business if you get what I'm talking about and you put it into action. Now, let me just talk about this a bit more. I mentioned the Silicon Valley syndrome. This has come about because in many companies, you're seeing the rise of product and tech teams. That they start the first, and they probably grow the fastest. And then you see marketing teams develop over time, and they have become crowded out by the size or the influence of product teams in dot-coms today. And it's a big shame, because what's happening is then attached to another issue, which is a futile debate. I mean, when I say futile, I mean completely futile. A debate that's a total red herring that is going on in most dot-coms today. And that is that your product is the rational side of the coin, and that if you have a brand, that's the emotional part of the stuff, like two sides of a coin. And we end up in a kind of futile debate often between those two teams, or within organizations, and not just online companies. I see it also between marketeers as well, is because they feel that the rational is only answering one part of what the customer wants, but the brand is there to answer the emotional need of the customer. Now, the reason it's futile, because there's a misunderstanding of what brands and what customer needs and wants and desires are. And what this is it, that a lot of marketeers and product teams think they get mixed up between the brand and the consumer. Now, a brand doesn't have emotions. It's a thing, it's an entity, it's an experience. It can be many things for the customer. But in itself, it doesn't have emotions. It's the consumer that has emotions. They have emotional reactions and to a brand, or to an experience with a brand, or the way it looks and the way it feels for them. Of course, they have feelings and reactions and emotional response. But this is the thing, what they really want from a brand is to achieve certain goals. Now, there's a great book out there by Philip Barden called Decoded, where he looks at this in a lot of detail from a neurological and psychological studies that have been done in this area, and how the brain works and functions and stimulus. And what he looks at is that consumers want two goals: an implicit goal to be answered and an explicit goal to be answered. And this is actually the answer to the futile debate that I'm talking about, because once you get that, if we can answer the implicit and the explicit goals, we can have a happy marriage between our product team and our marketing team, or the rational product story and the marketing or brand story. So let me just give you an example to explain where a brand or a category has actually done this well. So Your product story is what the rational bit is, or what we say the explicit goal the consumer is looking for. And then the brand is probably what the implicit goal the customer is looking to be answered. So if we take the automotive industry, now let's take a particular product from within that, which might be automatic braking systems, yeah? The explicit goal that the consumer will get from that is shorter braking distances, right? But the explicit goal will be different depending on the brand and the story that the brand is attached. So if you take Volvo, the explicit goal is safety from that implicit or that product. For Mercedes, it's superiority. And that's how they have this happy marriage between what is actually a similar product and a similar explicit goal that's answered for the consumer. You know, there might be differences in that automatic braking system, but essentially it's a very similar product. But the brand or the explicit goal that's been created out of that is very different for different brands, and that's how they have created a happy marriage and not had these futile debates that exist between let's try and just be emotional on one side to offset the rational. So I hope that bit's useful. The other point I want to make here in this thing is that if you just play only on the rational side and not look at the brand side, because that is pervasive too in many online companies, is that it's like playing football with one leg. I mean, it's really it's like having your favourite racehorse, you know, that's always going into a race that's injured every time because you're just playing to one side of the equation. And because it looks something like this, that you end up just communicating your product benefits and features, like we're faster, we're cheaper, we're smarter, we're more convenient, we have more choice, particular goals, and we end up, you know, just comparing ourselves to the rest of the internet. So hope you understand that by having the explicit bit and marrying that too, we can have a much more rounded debate and a much more rounded story for the consumer.